Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together the Light the Candles card, which is a center panel card from Simply Crafty SVGs. So I call this card the Light the Candles card. So let me first show you a card that's been completed, and it's in different colors just to give you an idea of what you can do. I am not going to make it like this. The way the file comes together is it's similar to this, but I used one pattern paper. I wanted to show you how you could have the option of, instead of changing out colors, which I will do in this demo, this tutorial, I wanted to show you how you could change it up with different colors. So I think this made it a bit more like for a feminine birthday party, where you have the extinguisher that is kind of bright pink, and I also put an optional pink panel. So this panel back here, there's some panels in the extra stuff folder, and some layered files if already layered for you, like the extinguisher, and kind of a version of this without the words if you wanted to use this still. Because what you can kind of see down here is that what this is intended to do, to show that the candles are falling and lighting this on fire. So light the candles, and I'm going to show you, like I said, a different way to do it. You probably already saw the photo, but with kind of rainbow colors with alternating colors. So the file has the colors in it like I show you, but of course you can, all in the extra stuff folder, I'll have them all in there with a solid color. So it's up to you how you want to use that, or whether you want to use it at all. Again, you can use this without, not again, but as with some of my other files, you could not even use this to put candles on it and just use it as a basic card, and that's why I gave you some additional mats in the extra stuff folder. So with that said, let me show you what the piece is. So we have the card, and I'll show you how it folds a little later here. We have these three pieces that go, and they'll make light the candle. So we'll put those aside. We're gonna put those together. So we're gonna do all the detailed piecing work first, and then these are the other panels that go on it. So we're gonna go ahead and put that to the side. And what I like to do is get all the detail work out of the way. So in my little embellishment bowl, I have these little pieces. So I'm just taking out the different pieces, the candles. So you'll see we have quite a few little candle pieces. Put those in the pile. And the file kind of says it's a gray. This will be the extinguisher blowing it out. But if you want to do white, you can. I had an alternate just in case I wanted white. We'll go ahead. That goes with that. So I'm just separate them by the type of thing, and these are all the little candle pieces. So I'm just going to alternate them. So I started with red. So if you're missing one, you can cut extra ones just in case you want to alternate. If you just don't want to do two colors, do two colors. And I'll explain as I go through. So let's go ahead and not do the candles first. We'll do that in a minute. Let's do the extinguisher and this piece. So first, let's go ahead and do this. So in the files, you'll see these three. So if you wanted to make this a different color, the top and bottom, all this does is to layer it. And they're not exactly the same size. I'll explain in a minute. But to layer it so you can see the little cutouts. I have a little tickle in my throat. Excuse me. Let's move this out of our view. So what I would do is first do these two pieces. So this is the back, the solid piece, and it has a little round. The front has a jagged part. And this part right here is round, these two parts. And so they line up exactly. And we want this to be glued on top of that. And those are the little openings for the letters. So this back piece should be the same color as this front piece. So you can see the little loops in the lettering. So to do that, we just want to add a little glue here. Just make sure you don't get too close to the openings. you can go kind of do a little wide berth or put a little minimal. We want it to glue, but we don't. It doesn't have to be perfect, so it's kind of a mess. And I'm going to just match it up with this little curve up here first. So this is exactly the same side, these two pieces. And this is going to go behind here now. So here's where we're going to have to be careful how we match it up. You see how it matches up like that? You're going to have to put it on so it forms the words properly. So what I would suggest is just getting I usually use my fine tip applicator to do this. Be careful getting in the openings because you do not want glue to show through. You can go around the edges at the top here and go down. You don't want to get really close because, I mean, it's not that big deal, but this is just a little bit smaller than this is. I also have used the Zig pens. You just want to put a little glue in between the letters, like little dots, because you don't want it coming through. But you don't want these areas like sticking up either, so it really is not as bad as it seems if you've never done this before. It's just a matter of getting the movement right where you put the glue. And if you think you put too much glue in one area, you just kind of wipe it off. The trick is getting it on before it dries. So the way I do it, because I don't want to place it yet, I want to get it lined up. So this bottom piece is smaller than the top piece. Whoops. I just did what I didn't want. Unfortunately, it dropped in the right place. So I'm lining it up on the right where the S and the D is. Since I didn't put that much glue around the letters, I have little time to kind of wiggle it in place. So we can see that it looks correct. And you can see that the words. And this shouldn't be overlapping on the left at all, so you can see I'm off a little bit. So just do your best to get it lined up. But I did intentionally make that back part a little bit smaller. But again, you can find a solid one in the extra stuff folder when you unzip the file, and you can put whatever you wanted. If you wanted to use this exact shape panel and put your own words. Or use your own fonts. I mean, you could do a print and cut of anything. So put that aside. Now we'll work on the extinguisher. So here are all the pieces. There's 4 black pieces. I have a little gray piece for blowing out, what would you call it, like the foam of an extinguisher. And then these 2 pieces. The way it's going to layer is like this. Like that. And then this piece goes up there. That goes there for dimension. And then this matches right up. So once you get this lined up, right here, this piece lines up right up to it. So that's how you piece this together. So let's just do that really quick. Sometimes it helps to put them in order first, so you don't have to think about it as much. We'll start with this yellow piece. And if you want to put all these 3 together first, you can, if it's easier for you. For this piece, you want to match. So if you just did all these layered first and then put them on at once, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. In fact, we're just going to do that. That's okay. We're not, this didn't hurt us at all. So don't worry about that because we're going to cover it. Let's change that. I'd rather show you the better way to do it, so I can switch gears. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the yellow piece. One of my mini bloopers. So we'll just line this up. So these should all line up to the bottom and around the big part. So you want to line it up on the bottom and sides. And then you saw I put a little glue on the back of those. And just FYI, any black cardstock is hard to cut. So you might have to, if you're using black, you need to probably check your black cardstock and see if you need to add additional pressure. I think it's just the ink that goes into it. And then this red piece on top. I showed you the pink version, but now this is the more of a traditional fire extinguisher look. I will glue on my fingertips. At this point, you could add this little piece right here. So this way we're only gluing onto that big piece once. And it might, actually it's a little bit smaller. So do your best to get that on there. And if you want to add a little inking around it, I'm just going to ink it with black ink so I can't see that yellow piece as well. But I do like the dimension of piecing. And then we'll go ahead and add this. So when you add this, we're going to line up that bottom piece again. Don't worry about the circle part, just do the bottom part. And if you don't want to do all this and you want to do just a print and cut, there's a layered version in the extra stuff folder. So you can do a little print and cut. Just in the Cricut, you just flatten it together. I have a little piece of cardstock. This darn black cardstock sometimes just doesn't cut as well. I have a special setting for black for my American Crafts textured. And then this one, be careful when you add the glue. You might want to add it to the back of this. I'm going this far because I know this is curved. Add a little glue here. So it's up to you how you want to do that, but we're just going to line this up towards the back. You see, you'll see if you're close enough to it, but you may not be able to see it in the video, that you have a little line version there. And this is lined up right here on this curve. And then we go like this. And then just kind of feel around the edge to line that up. A sharp blade helps with black cardstock too. When I cut this, I actually ended up switching out my blade after this because my blade was getting a little dull. And I was getting a little fifis on the edge, like little particles, mostly with the black paper. So there's the extinguisher. So now we'll work on the candles. So I'm going to show you, I'm just inking the tops of the flames really quick. Now, you know, we have all this fancy ink, but a lot of us don't have anything really, maybe you don't have like the fancy distress inks, or you have some really cheap inks, but you can do things. I use these little Fantastics. You could probably use a little, just like makeup, even like toothpicks, not toothpicks, Q-tips or something like that. But I use these Fantastics, which are meant for inks, but it really is nothing other than, I keep them around, I use them all the time, I kind of get the color off of them. But I'm using an extra piece of paper that's the same color as this, and I just play around with inks and see how it'll blend. Yes, some inks are better than others, but just so you know, you can use cheaper inks, so you can see how I'm inking that pink on. But you might want to try, if you want to use some of your inks that way, you could just take a different, like a little scrap piece of paper like this and give it a try, see if it gives the right look. So for this one, just get rid of, trying to get the other color off. You could see I already did the some of them. You can barely see, but I accented them by just rubbing this extra ink on them, just to give them a little more of a flame look. So just know that you can do that. I'm just making them just slightly darker. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in what's like hot right now that I know I do. I don't know. I'm sure many crafters have a lot of stuff in their drawers and cabinets that they haven't used in a while. So what I've been trying to do is look around and say, what can I use for my projects? And, you know, what will the majority have? With the exception of maybe this little thing right here. And you don't need that. You could go get makeup applicators from the dollar stores, if you have those. And see if you can just play around with inks that way. So there's no need to get really expensive stuff. So that's my save a buck part of this video. So as you can see, I always test on a little piece of paper, and I wouldn't go looking for this. They're out of business, but again, I was getting stuff out of my drawer that I had. I'm not really, you might not always want to blend with pigment ink, but if it works for you on a test piece of paper, go for it. I say do anything. So here in this particular on this version, I just used one pattern paper and just cut them all at once, and there's 21 of these. They come in, there's 2 with 4 of them, and they're opposite. 2 with 5. Actually, that's 6. And then, so there's this piece, that's 6. And then the left piece is 5. And then these 2 are single ones. So there's a total of 21. So there's a 21 of these. What I'm going to do on this card is I'm using different colors. So I did it by rainbow. So I'm going to, this is how like I said, the file is arranged. If you don't want to do it like this and cut them all one color, just look in the extra stuff folder and find the version with just one color and just replace it. Okay, replace all these little pieces. So I do it in rainbow color. So there's 4 of these, 4 of these, 4 of these, and I believe 3 of the rest of them. I put them in order, so I know to put them on in order. So I'm going to choose which one's going to be the left of my card. And it doesn't matter which one, by the way. You could just choose, this is the left one, this is the right one for the top. These are just opposites. It's going to get the same effect, so whichever one you want. And then this has to be the left if you want it to kind of look like it's burning this little section. So I haven't inked this yet, but burning that section here. And then this other 5 goes on the left, and then these single ones I just kind of arbitrarily put them anywhere. So, but because I know that I'm going to put 2 on the left, that's my design. I'm going to start with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then continue red, yellow, and red. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in order like this. So I just make sure that it just fits in this little bottom part. So when you put them on, and of course this one has a little dealy bulb on the top. I had changed my blade since cutting here. When you put them on, I would alternate them. So I know I'm doing different colors, but now I know I'm going to need orange here, the next one, and then yellow, and then green. Well, I want them to overlap a little bit in places. So I'm going to put the yellow one on first. So that's the third one. I know this is confusing. And then we'll put the orange one over that. So you could put the glue down here, or you can put it on the actual piece. So what it's doing is creating an overlapped look. If you put them in order, the ones on the right will always overlap the ones on the left. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. If you want it to look a little bit more haphazard, you want to go ahead and alternate them. So put some underneath others. The biggest thing is me paying attention to the color scheme as I go across. And I'm sure a lot of people won't want to do this. It really doesn't take that much time, honestly. But again, I'm alternating them. So this is blue. And then the next one will be I'm skipping 2 so I can have the overlap look. So it's not that one, it's this one. It starts with red again. So you can do any colors you really want. I mean, if you want to cut out extras and extra colors, go ahead and do that and see how you like them. I mean, it's up to you and the papers that you select. So we'll go ahead and add those last 2. So we'll just continue doing it like that. So I'll let you watch the rest of this. And like I said, I keep them in order so I know I'm just going left to right. So just right now, we'll do the purple, and then we'll, to the right of the red, we'll do the orange. So I hope that you're understanding what I'm saying and you continue to watch and see what I'm doing. Of course, you could always ask a question. Just send me a note via our contact form if you are wondering. So there we go. So I'll finish the others and then I'll be back. So you'll notice that the most time it took to do was to alternate them. So, and if you're paying close attention, this color should be right here. So I just accidentally cut it out wrong, but it looks fine to me, so we'll just go with it. So now we'll just go ahead, pull the pieces over. Now all the hard stuff's done, in my opinion, so let's go ahead and put these to the side. One thing I'm going to do really quick is to ink this. So this is supposed to look like it's kind of burning it, so the candle falls over and burns it. So I'm going to kind of give it a little charred look by, you could use a distress, like I said, like I was using earlier. I'm just going to do that area, but if you wanted to do the whole thing, you could just go around the edge to give it that look. And I'm just going to ink it a little bit more, just to give it the look of it starting to burn when the candles fall. So hopefully you can see that. It was going out of focus, so hopefully you'll be able to see that now. I zoomed out a little bit so you could see it better, and you can see it against the white. So you'll see it in person. It's easier to see in person. So let's go ahead and put the panels on. The best thing I say to do is to fold it first. So it's going to fold right here, like that. So we're going to do mountain folds first. So a mountain fold goes up like a mountain. You want to kind of get a crisp edge, whether you use a bone folder or something similar to that. I tend to use the tools that are on my table. So this one's actually a valley fold here. So if I want a crisper edge there, I have a little stylus thing that I have here that I'm using. I'm just going to give it a little edge. It's up to you how you want to do that. So now, take that other way. You can see it's folding like that. We just want to give it a crisp edge because you want it to sit well. So when it's in, of course we could slide in the folder like this, but we want it to sit like that up so the person can view it. You can see the fold on the side. So let's go ahead and add the panel. So also that gives us an idea of where to put the panels. So we're going to center the panels. And I don't always use this, but I'm going to use an adhesive why can't I think of this? Adhesive tape dispenser. So I'm using a Xyron version. The reason I don't always use these on my designs, and I won't use them for certain parts, because it doesn't offer me ability to move it again if I place it wrong, so not easily. So, but just be really careful where I place it, and then I won't have to worry about that. But of course, nothing has to be perfect. But I do use these on larger panels on cards. I just don't always show me using something like this. Again, it's getting back to the whole use what you got thing in your craft room. And I haven't been using a lot of what I have. There's no need to use solid glued sometime. But you could use your, like my art glitter glue. I would just typically use that on this. But since I have this, might as well use it up. But what I usually struggle with, and I'm going to show you here, I need to center this, is getting in the right place before I apply pressure. So I'm only going to use it on those pieces. So it's just lining it up, getting it the same amount of space on the left and right. And that space right here too. You can see there's a space. So right here, there's that little space. So in the extra stuff folder, I do have an optional panel if you don't want it to be the color of the, just like what I did here. I didn't want it to be the color of the actual card. So I put a little panel on it. So if you do have that, you'd want to put your panels on next. But now it just folds like that. So we have this piece. I'd put this on last because you're going to want to fit it in. So, but that's going to go somewhere here. I actually made part of this, something like this, about 2 years ago. I just never put it in the store because I wanted to modify it. So I finally got around to making it slightly different than what I made. It was a gift for somebody in my family. So I'm going to go ahead and, what I would do with this, and you can pop it up if you want. If not, you're going to want to put it on first because we're going to put the candles around it and over it. I'm going to put it towards the bottom edge and center it of this. And I can show you why, because it's the way we're going to glue the candles on. I think it's a fun card just in case you have somebody who's like has a big 4-0, and of course you could not use the extinguisher, and you could just say big 4-0 somewhere or whatever. You can put something extra, or big 5-0, 9-0, 8-0, whatever it is. So we're going to start with the candles. So we're going to go ahead, get the ones that are 4s. But I decided that since this is red, it's starting on the left, and I'll put this one on the right. And I'm just going to go a little down, so you can see like that. So make sure it's folded over so we don't glue it on this by accident. So fold it over. And I'm just going to add glue on the bottom of these, just enough so it'll adhere and stay. So you can see that. Just going to place it. It's really up to how you want it to look. If you want it cattywampus, but you always have to kind of leave some room if you're going to use that extinguisher. If you're not, you could actually angle them if you wanted to. If you were going to put something else, like a joke or something like that. Or not use them at all. So remember, I'm using the ones that are 4 candles. Just kind of matching the other side. And I inked the top of these, but I'm probably going to put like just a little smidgen of glitter glue using my Stickles diamond just to give them a little gleam, but that just takes time to dry. You don't want to do that until the very last. And then when we do this part, we want to be careful because we don't want to get glue here. So this is where you have to be really careful because we're going to either put glue here. Where you place it, you don't want to get it on here at all. So this is the most important placement, is this one. Because I kind of have it go down and have it look like it's lighting up. So it's not quite as charred as I want it to look. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get this another little Fantastics thing that I used earlier. I'm going to add just a little bit more going down so you can see it when the candle's down there. And I'm sure there are like so many more like mixed media people out there that do a better job than I do on this stuff. I had a little black on that, so I'm just trying to get it off. Which is okay. That kind of gives it a charred look. Okay. So now you can go ahead and you can just see how far you're going to go down. And you see I just kind of want it to look like it's lighting that up. Catching on fire. So it'll overlap a little bit. So it's up to you. You can put a little glue here. What I would do, and you just have to be careful about this step, is put a little glue down here to hold that one. And you probably could put the whole one down there because it goes down there. So pretty much this whole part right here will go down on the card. But make a note of how far you go up. If you need to, do this. Hold it like this. And then place it where you want it. I'm just checking the back to make sure there's no glue. There's not. So I can apply pressure when I put it down. So there's nothing about perfection here. This truly is one of those cards where you kind of have to decide what you want it to look like. And if you wanted to, you could even do 2 of these. Forget this one that's already angled for you, but it's just angled to go there. And then we'll just go ahead and add these last couple candles. Again, I'm kind of doing the same distance as this one. As I put them on, I'm just making sure that I go low enough so the glue doesn't come up on the other side here. But I also don't want to cover light. So try fit it first. Just try not to make it wider so it fits in the envelope. Then the next color is red, and then so the other 2 are just kind of free form, however you want them. So I'm just going to go like this, like they're falling over. It's just a fun card. If you do, try not to, see, I almost made a mistake there. Only put glue on the bottom. If you do like this card, please give me a little thumbs up. So you just have to eyeball where you want it at that point, or not use them at all. I'm going to go a little bit more on that one because I'm going to angle down a little bit more. So you have to just make sure you know that your glue is not too much glue so it'll go on the other side. It'll still stick. So that's like that. You see all those candles? It's just a fun card. I didn't think anybody would like it, but I thought, well, it wasn't hurt to put it out there. It is a little bit time intensive with the candles, but it's not that bad. So now you can just go ahead and throw this on there at an angle. The biggest thing with this card is just don't go above the top. I made it a little bit bigger, but you could go like this and do it over the candles. It doesn't really matter. You could kind of slide it under the candle like that. So we'll just do it this angle. The other one I kind of went down. I went like this. And I'm just going to use glue to attach that. Gets a little weak right at that spot. So once we get it on the panel, we're good to go. It's just a different card. I hope a couple people like it. I have a weird sense about birthdays. I like to do something fun rather than really always so traditional. So I'm just going to lightly drop it where I want it. And I made it this size because it was any smaller it gets kind of hard to put together. So again, if you wanted that background, this one I just left it off a little bit, but there it is. And then that you can fit it into an A2 envelope. You see how it flattens to send, and then it will sit up. So there are the two different versions. You can see the different looks, and remember, you can always use this card base for other things other than just this card. So if you did like this video, again, give me a little thumbs up down there, and or subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.